A shooting just took place at a Texas ICE facility. The sniper, another sniper, firing from a rooftop, later died from a self-inflicted gunshot, according to Fox. I actually saw this picture this morning. It is very disgusting. The dude straight up blew his brains out. DHS Secretary Kristi Noem confirms there are multiple fatalities and injuries. From what I understand, it was no ICE officers were shot. He just started shooting indiscriminately into a building and shot immigrants instead.
Apparently it occurred when detainees were being brought into this Sally port. This shooter, we're not sure exactly where he was located, but was able to shoot into that Sally port and struck at least 3 people. That shooter now is down from this self-inflicted wound, so we may not know exactly what his plan was, what they were intending to do, other than to shoot people this morning at an ICE facility. We're learning more as we get it.
We actually did learn more. Here we go. Here's a statement from Kash Patel, but look at this. It says anti-ICE. Now, I do think that's kind of weird. Why would you write anti-ICE? I would assume like a lefty would put like, fuck Trump, Kash Patel, you know, fucking other things. Like anti-ICE is like a righty way of saying it. Right? Like if I would imagine a lefty would be like, fuck fascists, like stuff like that. Here's what Kash Patel had to say. He said, this morning, just before 7 a.m. local time, an individual fired multiple rounds at a Dallas, Texas ICE facility, killing one, wounding several others before taking his own life. FBI, DHS, ATF are on the ground with Dallas PD and state authorities. While the investigation is ongoing, an initial review of the evidence shows an ideological motive behind this attack. See photo below. One of the unspent shell casings recovered was engraved with the phrase anti-ICE. More updates will be forthcoming. And also, why is it just one? I'm not trying to question it too much, but my radar is going off. Like, why would it be written that way? It's strange to me. Here's a picture of the guy. His name's Joshua Jahn, drug addicted gamer. I don't know, I guess I'm kind of the same, you know. I like to have some Shire Leaf with my video games. We have some more info. He was 29, born in 96. He's from Fairview, Texas. Joshua Jahn's profile picture from his now wiped Facebook page, per the background check results, reveals Antifa and communist imagery. The profile photo is of an armed communist with a hammer and sickle. Oh, let me see this. Oh yeah, I guess so. I mean, I don't know. It could mean that. It totally could. Like, I mean, looking at the image, it totally could. It could also just be some gamer shit. Ah, his sister. His sister has a ton of mugshots. She got arrested at 18, at 19, at 20, 21, 21, and then at 23. Wow, she went a whole year without getting arrested and then started getting arrested again. And when she got arrested again, she has a huge neck tattoo. Not against neck tattoos, but, you know, I don't know. There was a progression here. So Trump decided to chime in on this. I have been briefed on the deadly shooting at the ICE field office in Dallas, Texas. It has now been revealed the deranged shooter wrote anti-ICE on his shell casing. This is despicable. The brave men and women of ICE are just trying to do their jobs and remove the worst of the worst criminals out of our country. But they are facing an unprecedented increase in threats, violence, and attacks by deranged radical leftists. This violence is the result of the radical left Democrats constantly demonizing law enforcement, calling for ICE to be demolished, and comparing ICE officers to Nazis. This right here, Donald Trump is on point. Yeah, he frames it in his Donald Trump ways, but that right there, this violence is the result of the radical left Democrats constantly demonizing law enforcement, calling for ICE to be demolished, and comparing ICE officers to Nazis, and doing things like passing laws to where they're not allowed to cover their faces to protect themselves from people exposing them on the internet, coming after their families and shit like that. The non-stop demonizing of our law enforcement. Yeah, 100%. Of course, somebody is going to start shooting at them. The continuing violence from radical left terrorists and the aftermath of Charlie Kirk's assassination must be stopped. ICE officers and other brave members of law enforcement are under grave threat. We have already declared Antifa a terrorist organization, and I will be signing an executive order this week to dismantle these domestic terrorism networks. I'm calling on all Democrats to stop this rhetoric against ICE and America's law enforcement right now. The Trump administration is fully committed to backing law enforcement, strong borders, securing our homeland, deporting violent illegal criminals, and fully rooting out the left-wing domestic terrorism that is terrorizing our country. Thank you for your attention to this matter. All that is happening every time some crazy lefty shoots up something or lights Teslas on fire or anything, especially now because everyone's paying very close attention and it's going to be blasted. All it's doing is strengthening the right. So lefties that are celebrating this stuff, all you're doing is celebrating your own slow demise of a party and ideology. You need to speak up against these things even though bad things are happening to people you don't like. And this is the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Embassy's law enforcement analyst says you can't just assume the ICE shooter was a leftist based on the anti-ICE messages written on his shell casing. He could have been doing that thinking it was funny, trying to put law enforcement on the wrong track. This is real. This is not made up. I will play it for you. Here you go.
You can't just assume by that what was written on that shell casing that that's necessarily his motivation. He could have been doing that to thinking it was funny, trying to put law enforcement on the wrong track. This is where, when you analyze the person's phone, computer, talk to his family and friends, that you get an idea of what his motivation perhaps really was.
Perfect example of what I'm talking about. That is not helping. That is making more. You want more righties? Do this. According to JD Vance, there's more than just the anti-ICE shell casing.
I don't know if you all have followed the news, and we're still learning a little bit about it, but what we know is that in Dallas, Texas, an ICE facility, an Immigrations and Customs Enforcement facility, was opened fire upon by a violent left-wing extremist, a person who wrote anti-ICE messaging on their bullets, and there's some evidence that we have that's not yet public, but we know this person was politically motivated. They were politically motivated to go after law enforcement. They were politically motivated to go after people who are enforcing our border. And I think that is the most disgusting thing.
You know what might happen if this continues? I'm just now thinking of this. The right might become more authoritarian because this keeps happening, and it's like to get control of people just saying crazy shit and radicalizing people, making them so angry that they start the shootings are increasing because of like the media making people more and more angry. We might end up adding more authoritarian laws coming from the right. I'd hate to see that. I like freedom. JD Vance continues.
Some of the potential illegal aliens were some of those who were affected. Look, just because we don't support illegal aliens, we don't want them to be executed by violent assassins engaged in political violence either. So we're praying both for our ICE agents, but also for everybody who's affected by this terrible attack. But that was an ICE facility. And as these guys behind me know, and a few of our police officers know, police officers writ large face too many threats of violence all across the United States of America.
Every time he speaks on things like this, I just think, bro, he's an ex-pres. I think a lot of righties already made up their mind. There's still a lot of time, though. There's still so much time. MSNBC suggests that leftist terrorists who are writing political messages on bullets are actually being influenced by right-wingers. Anything but admit that this guy is because of your own rhetoric.
Inspired? Are you worried about copycats?
Yes. I don't know if the rooftop trend is going to be a thing. I mean, it could just be coincidental that the best vantage point just happened to be elevated positions in this case.
The fuck kind of comment is that? It's called the high ground, you dipshit. That's the best place to shoot from. What the fuck?
The irony with the writing, the first time we really saw that was Brenton Tarrant in the Christchurch shooting in a mosque in...
Yeah, ban rooftops. You know what? I like the way you think. That's a very bureaucratic way of thinking, and I like the where you're going with that. Let's just ban rooftops.
In New Zealand, and he was a fierce, white supremacist and neo-Nazi, and wrote all over his weapon and his rounds, very hateful information. So to see this coming from, potentially the other side of the political spectrum is a little strange. Because it is not something, if you are trying to,
Listen, the way that I speak like this too, when I'm like nervous and I'm trying to be very careful with what I'm saying, because it's a sensitive topic and it's not just flowing out of me like I'm speaking right now. I start talking like this because I need to think in between every word that I say, because I know this is a touchy subject and I could easily fuck up. The mental gymnastics to not take accountability for rhetoric is wild to me. After a Texas ICE facility was shot up this morning, the White House is slamming Representative John Larson for going on an unhinged shouting rant about ICE being Gestapo.
This is not Germany. That's the SS and the Gestapo. This is the United States of America. Unmask yourselves.
Oh my God. You can get 10 people to clap, but there's 90 that won't. MSNBC blames violence against ICE and illegals on the Trump admin and conservatives. Bro, it's like clockwork.
It is very difficult, not just in ICE, but of all immigrants, and immigrant lawyers, anyone who's in the immigration field, because this isn't an isolated incident. We have seen death among non-citizens being increased, and the victims here, that the 2 killed were non-citizens being detained at that time. And so it is very difficult. It has been a very decisive environment, and the rhetoric does have to stop. Just yesterday, Homeland Security released a propaganda video on their social website stating or using Nintendo's Pokemon to catch them all and continuing to dehumanize.
I want to be the very best, like no one ever was. It's just like catching Pokemon, you know? Let's throw. What if we caught illegals with Pokeballs? Now that would be dystopian. Vance had a really good point here about how we could stop political violence. Let's hear him out. Let's see if it makes sense.
We got to stop it. We got to condemn it. And that starts, unfortunately, at the very top of the Democratic Party. If you want to stop political violence, stop attacking our law enforcement as the Gestapo. If you want to stop political violence, stop telling your supporters that everybody who disagrees with you is a Nazi. If you want to stop political violence, look in the mirror. That's the way that we stop political violence in this country, and we got to do it.
I agree, 100%. Vance is right, bro. Fucking duh. Where it's starting from, right? It's called shit rolls downhill. You guys heard that expression, right? Shit rolls downhill. Well, the people starting the little, you know, the ball of shit at the fucking top, let's start there. Then the shit will stop rolling downhill. That's what's happening. Shit rolls downhill. These people keep opening their mouths saying that we're Nazi fucking Germany when we're not. And it's making people scared, and it's making them act out, especially the most mentally ill of us. There's a lot of mental illness going around, especially with fucking lefties. And when you start telling them that they're living in Nazi Germany, one of them's going to start shooting people. We've been saying it for years. I can't say it enough. We have a couple other things just as like examples of kind of what's going on. Antifa surrounds federal buildings in Eugene, Oregon, protesting ICE. Group blocks entrances and exits, banging on doors and windows. Employees forced to use alternative exits. Let's check this out. What is that? Is that it's a donut on a stick. Bro, I would fall for that. I'm gonna go eat that donut. They're snatching them up. This one was pretty. So they came out and they're like, all right, enough of that. And they start snatching them up. So that one was pretty slick. You know, they walked up all slow. And then here's another one. They chased the guy. Right? They're not messing around. They're arresting him. So that's good. I'd like to see more of this. Just disperse these guys, get them the fuck out of there, and arrest them. I don't think that this is going to be the last time we're going to see more political violence from the left. I think that we're going to see more. This is what I said 2 weeks ago with Charlie Kirk. I said that, nope, it's going to keep happening. We're going to see more. Here we are today. We see more, and it's worse. More people got hurt and killed than just one person. So it's worse. And they were extra innocent because the person shot immigrants. He was trying to shoot ICE officers, ended up shooting the immigrants that he was so desperately trying to, like, help in his own sick, demented mind. Then we're going to see someone on the right do something stupid. If we want to tone things down, the ball's in the court of the left to tone things down. It's their responsibility to get their people to calm the fuck down because they've scared them so much that they're acting out.